Hey everybody, welcome back to Auto Shop class. Today we're going to be looking at our Ford Torino project, changing the radiator. See the damage here? And the new radiator that we're going to use to replace that old damaged radiator. This is made of aluminum. Does a great job of cooling. How does a radiator really work? That's our concept we're going to be discussing today. You have chambers of water down the sides of the radiator. In the center are all the fins and the water chambers. There's a hose down at the bottom. It comes hot water, brings hot water from the engine. Because of the water pump, it pushes it up through the radiator, through the water passages. And as it does so, it cools that water. And by the time it's come up through the radiator, it comes out much cooler than it went in, and then it sends it back to the engine. So there's two parts to the radiator. There's the water channels, where the water travels right here. And then there's the fins, the heat sink fins that pull the heat from the water right through the metal and dissipate that heat out into the air. That's why you can damage the heat sinks, the fins. If they get a little damage, that's not going to ruin your engine. You can see that, but if you damage the water passage, which is what we've had happen here, you are in big trouble, because that's where water goes through, and now you've got a leak, radiator fluid all over your car. We could weld that radiator and fix it, but we're going to go ahead and replace it with a new one right in this area here. First, we're going to use a 1/2 inch open-end wrench. And we're going to remove the fittings. These fittings go to the transmission cooler. We could use the box-end wrench, but remember, that is for tight bolts, and we don't really need that. One thing I want you to notice when you use a wrench is you can flip a wrench over to get a better angle. And a lot of times you need to do that. You're going to see that here in this video quite a bit. So flip the wrench to get the best angle, and then you can loosen those fittings. These are the only parts of the old radiator that we're going to use. We're going to clean those threads up and then reinstall those fittings right into the new radiator where they go. We're going to remove now the second fitting. These actually go to the transmission cooler. So we'll attach a hose to that tube right there later with a hose clamp. We want to make sure and clean the transmission cooler and the oil cooler out with some compressed air. Now, we're going to use tools in our video today. This is a drill, hand drill, using a very soft wire brush. We're going to clean those threads on the fittings because they need to make a perfect seal when they are installed, and we're going to use a special compound to make that seal. So now they're all nice and cleaned up. We have thread sealant right here. It's a special compound. You don't want to use tape on this application because a small piece of the tape can tear off and get into your radiator, and that wouldn't be good. So we use this compound instead, and it's going to make a really nice seal. Here in this case, in this application, you see we use the box end wrench because we want an excellent grip when we're tightening down the new fitting. So that's the box end wrench. And then on the second fitting that has the tube that we're going to attach, it's going to sink all the way down into the threads, and we really just want it to point in a certain direction right where the hose will attach. Now, Let's move on to the next piece. These little clips go down on the bottom of the radiator and they hold the fan shroud, and they're new. And they proved to be a bit of a problem when we went to install them. The radiator is soft aluminum, so we had to bend it, clip on these two fan shroud clips. And you're going to see later why that's a problem. Now we're going to clean the fan shroud here. It's not going to come out perfect, but it's going to be a lot cleaner than when we started. We don't want a bunch of dirt blowing in. And right here I want you to notice the fan. You see the radiator, the transmission cooler, and there's the fan. That fan spins, and when we talk about how a radiator works, when the fan spins, it pulls the air in to the engine compartment right through that radiator, you see. Yes, when the car is moving, it also blows air into the front of the radiator. But more importantly, that fan is attached right to the radiator area, and the fan shroud makes a nice seal. So when the fan spins, it's actually pulling air in, forcing it through those radiator fins, forcing fresh air in and letting it cool that water. Now we're installing the brackets on top of the radiator. The radiator isn't really bolted to anything, it's clamped down. It does have the inlet and outlet hoses. That's a hose clamp right there. You got to remember, a hose clamp needs to be tightened down with a ratchet to get a really nice tight seal. And you need to use extensions because it's down at the bottom of that radiator. You get it nice and tight there, it's good. Now the fan shroud, here's where we run into the problems with those clips. There's the clip, it's too wide, the new clip is too wide. I crawled under the car, I tried to wiggle and jiggle and get it to work. It just was not working, so we have to modify those clips using the table grinder. We're going to have to shave off about 1/16 of an inch off of the side of each clip. Just about 1/16 of an inch. We're going to use the table grinder to do it. 1/16 of an inch is about the width of a pencil lead. Not much, but it was enough to stop those clips from being able to slide all the way in where they needed to slide. So now you can see they've been shaved off, and once they were put back, that fan shroud was able to clip right into place. The fan shroud is an important piece. It wraps around the fan to make sure that the fan pulls the air right through the radiator. If you didn't have a fan shroud, it would pull air from all over the engine compartment, and that would make hot air flow through that radiator and not fresh air coming from the outside. We've used a ratchet quite a few times in this video. You can see the ratchet here makes it easy with the extensions to reach into those hard to get places, putting on the last hose clamp there, and then we need the open end wrench, 2 of them again, to attach the transmission cooler line. It's going to have transmission fluid in it, and so this connector needs to be very tight, but we can't over tighten it connected to the radiator, so we have to hold one side close to the radiator with one wrench, hold it still while we turn the other wrench, tighten it just a bit there, spin the wrench, get the best angle, there you go, and then tighten just snug. There we go, now it's snug. Last step, fill the radiator with fluid. You can buy the 50/50 pre-diluted mix from the auto parts store, and here is the end result. That is a sweet, sweet thing. Thanks for watching the video. Now, there's going to be a quiz attached in your Google Classroom to this assignment. Make sure you go in there and answer those questions, and I will see you later.